Hello, Sir Dean. I am Judy Ann Magnumanzon, a fourth-year criminology student from Block 1. Electronic crime scene procedure done by the Philippine National Police Anti-Cybercrime Group. Step number 1. Upon the arrival of the PNP ACG investigator at the crime scene, first thing to do is to secure the area, specifically maintaining or securing the evidences containing the suspected electronic devices which has been used by the perpetrators to commit further offenses. And at this phase, the officer's safety as well as the securely taking of the control of the crime scene is being prioritized. Step number 2. The investigator should move all the individual present at the crime scene from at the crime scene away from the computer equipment so that to ensure that there will be no changes in a last minute or corruption to the data occur. Step number 3. Once all evidences have been removed from the areas containing the electronic devices, investigators can now start conducting the initial interviews of either to the suspect on the scene and to the potential witnesses present at the crime scene. Step number 4. The investigator should always be careful on switching on and off the computer. It's important that an investigator, upon his arrival, before making any action, all of his action must be photographed or has been recorded as it possible. And make sure that the screensaver is off by just pressing the arrow key which is located on the keyboard, so that there will be no alteration of any document if the system is active. Step number 5. Check to see if the system is connected to the internet or other wireless network. Then, if the system is network, the investigator should capture or collect the volatile data contained in the system memory. Number 6. Once the investigator not be able to or once the investigator collect all the volatile data found on the system, he will want to disconnect the power from the machine in order to shut it down. The forensic practice is to disconnect the power source from the rear of the machine and not from the wall outlet. This will make sure that the investigator is removing the correct wire or the power supply of another systems, and shutting it down means there will be no alter or registry, and it will be considered as tampering of evidence. Step number 7. The investigator will then do the documentation of the crime scene. Of course, the most important of that is the photographing the crime scene. These photographs will help the investigator to remember where everything was located on the crime scene and how the crime scene looked when he or she is arrived at the crime scene. The investigator must always take a picture or a photograph, especially to the entrance of the crime scene, and then take photographs from each corner of the crime scene. Additionally, as evidences which is located and recovered those evidences. The investigator should photograph the evidences before it has been lifted from the crime scene. This documentation connect to the which the investigator consider that where is the location it was found in the crime scene. The next step, step number 8, after documenting the crime scene, the sketcher will now sketch by drawing it and the entire crime scene. The sketch will show the exact measurement of the crime scene and which or where the evidences is located on the crime scene by their exact distance and object on the crime scene. Step number 9, after taking all the necessary photographs, the investigator must label and tag all the evidences located at the crime scene, or what we called bagging or tagging. When labeling the computer system, the investigator should label each connector and port attached to the computer. This will help ensure the investigator will be able to reconstruct the system in a court of law. Step number 10. Once the system has been labeled correctly, the investigator can place evidence tape over about 3.5-inch drive and the drive case. This will help the investigator know if anyone tampers with the computer system when it has been transmitted off to the forensic laboratory. And if there are any media located in the drives, the media should be photographed and then remove and protect the evidences from being destroyed or altered. Just like for example, yung CD-ROMs, when it is being scratched, when it is transit, and therefore, hindi na siya, it was being destroyed. At this time, remove any media in the drive and place evidence tape over the drives. Kailangan pa rin na i-secure yung mga ganyang bagay kasi maaari siyang masira, ma-destroy. Step number 11. Now, if the process of photographing, measuring, labeling, we in this juncture and this procedure step, we are able to package all the evidences to a antiseptic bag to help ensure the integrity of the data maintained and the authenticity of, or the originality, I should say, must maintain on the evidences. And each evidences or each piece of evidences must be packed and labeled completely. The evidence should be labeled because it will help the investigator identify the evidence. It should have a completely detailed, including the date and time it was found in the crime scene, the location it was being recovered, and the investigator who found the evidence. Additional information, of course, includes the case number and the primary investigating officer who conduct the collection of evidence. Step number 12, before each item has been lifted on the crime scene, a chain of custody must be filed out to ensure that the evidence is properly tracked from the investigator to investigator. A chain of custody will contain the name of the recovering officer and the time and date he transferred the evidence to the primary investigating officer who will receive it. A note that the requesting party of the court can only request for the examination of results and pieces of evidences after filing up the chain of custody form.